So now let's have this star button that we have in here that we can use to star repositories. We are going to use this API endpoint. So if I open REST API docs, if I come to, I can say stars or I can say repositories. It's not in here. So let me check where can I get my hands on the API to star repositories. So it's in activities, starring. We have list stargazers, list repositories, start by an authenticated user. Then we have this, then we have that. Okay, we need this one. Star a repository for the authenticated user. And we will also need this one to unstar it or remove the star. So first we need a button in here like this. So let me come over here. So this is the GitHub repo details card. So after the span of, you can say the date, or so this is the root element which contains the name and then the div. Let me add a div here and name it as a star. So we'll have a star in here, but this star, this div, so this div which is a star, this div, and I mean not this div, and this will be in a single line. So I think I'm doing it wrong. So if I let me check in here, if I do display of flex, what will happen? So we don't need to make this happen. So I just need to wrap this p tag and extend it till this div after p. So I can make it in here. So it's now fine. So we have a star in here. Let me also make a line item centered to align them vertically between the box, between the card in here. And we also need justify content space between to throw this on the end. Save. Okay, it is not on the end, so I guess I need to give width as 100%. Yes, it is now on the end. Let me add, okay, let me leave it in here. Now this div that we are having, give it a class name of star, okay, styles dot star btn. Let me grab the star btn, come in here. So it is inside the repository CS. So let me nest it in here. Star btn, let me add a little bit of margin right, 20px. It is fine. And we need a border around it. So I can say border 1px solid. Let me try white smoke for now. Okay, this is the border in here. The only thing is we need to give padding 20px. Let me just add the padding on horizontal sides only. Maybe I just make it 5px and that's fine for us. We have the star button in here. So we need to increase the color here because it is too dark. I mean, it is too light. So we need something like a little bit more lighter. If this looks fine to me, is it fine? I think it is. So we also need to have border radius. I can say 2 or 5 pixels. So make border radius 5px. Now they should be rounded. Yes, they are. The next thing we want to add is cursor as pointer to make the pointer as cursor. Like this. Okay, we have a problem here that this will break in the GitHub Actions card. So what we need to do is wrap this in a div as well, just like we did in the this card. So this should be in here and save. Now it is fine as well. So we have a star comment. I mean, we have a star button in here. If I hover this, the background or the border will change to a little bit more vibrant color. So I can do star button, then I hover this. We need to make border 1px solid. Let me try white smoke and I will just decrease the opacity. I mean decrease the color amount, the heaviness of the color. We need a little bit more, like just keep dragging it. I think this is fine. Yes, it is fine. Now we need a star icon before this text. So if I come in here, we have a star. We need a star icon. So I am going to use react icons. Yes, let me search for star. So we need a star outlined from AI, I can say. So if I just import it here, AI, okay, we already have a star here, so I can use this in here as well. Sorry, I forgot that I had a star before, but I was ignoring it. So now we have a star. Let me just wrap it in a p tag. I mean this text. Save it. We need both on a single row. So in the star btn, I can make display as flex. They are on a single row and align items center. And I mean arrange them vertically properly in single line. Then let me add, if I add this, let's see how what happens, like justify content space between. No, in this case, let me give a width of 100 px. Yes, I think that looks fine to me. Yes, maybe let me try 50. What will happen if I make it 50? Okay, this will not work. Maybe 70. What about 80? Okay, the star button will like change this. This will change. Okay, so the star button is in here and I think I am reusing it. So if I search for start btn, we have okay, we have this class. I think the value inside it of this is getting smaller as well. So if I make size as 20, let's see what happens. In AI outline star, save. No, it will not work. I think we need to remove the width from in here. This is fine now. So what we need to do is, okay, if I add width as 100 px, what will happen then? This is fine, but if I add 80, it's like this. What about 90? 90 is fine. What about 100? I think 100 is fine. Then in here, let me make this as 15. What will happen? Too small, make it 18. 18 is fine, yes. So we have a star button in here that resembles GitHub star. GitHub button of starring. Now, what we need is an API. So when we click the button or basically this div, we need to run a function that will increase the number of stars on this repo called LinkedIn clone using React and Firebase. So let me make a function in here. So I can, okay, this is the wrong API endpoint or file. Get GitHub APIs, we can make it in here. So export const star repos. Okay, what we can say? Just make star repos. Let me copy these things. So we need to make the function as asynchronous, make it, and we need to have this API call in here. That is update request, put request. So if I just make it in here, replace the await octocrit request with this new one, it will be fine. So we need to have an owner and a repository. So let me get them from params. So I can say owner can be a string, then repository, or just a repo, also a string. Let me put owner at the place of this owner. I mean not this owner, in here. Place it and repo at this place. Save. So this will run. If we pass owner and a repo, it will start that repository. So what we now need is call the function star repos in the repo details in here. So this should run when we click this div. So make on click event. We need to pass some params. So we need to pass the owner and the repository. So the owner is, let me check the key names. This is inside the repo data. Let me check. But the function that we are having in here will not run because, let me just comment it out for now because the function is incomplete. So we are having syntax error. Let me open the inspect console, I mean object we have. So we need the repo name and the owner name. So in here I can get something like, if I come down, the repo name we can get as name. So I have to add name in here because that is how we do things in TypeScript. Then we need the repository name. So if I come down, star gets the URL we should have a repository name. Okay, the name is here, fine. That is the repository name. Sorry. Okay, now we need the owner name. So if I do owner.login, it is the name of the owner. So make an owner object in here. Inside, make a login object or login string. So now we have name that we can pass in this function. So this will be equal to, let me uncomment this now. So this will be equal to repo data dot name. Let me check the order. So yes, this is not the name of the person or the owner. This is the name of the repository. So name of the person is, or the owner is, repo data dot owner dot login. Give it a comma in here. We have an issue that we need to import this function. Import, the name is star repos, save it. Now if I click the button in here, it will start a repository in LinkedIn. So if I check, or if I do this, let me start this. Let me first check GitHub. So we have not started this. So if I click star in here, it is running. We are having the endpoint in here that this has been started, but there is no response because it is a put request. If I check this, the star count should be 46. So let me load it. Where is the star count? It is 46, and we are having the yellow icon, field icon, that says that it has been started. We only need to update the repo in here. I mean the value in here. So what we need to do is, if I star it, we need to call this get repo details again. One thing we can do is make a state in here called, let me not do this, just call get repo details again. So if I just call this when we start, so just wrap it in a curly bracket like this. After this, just call get repo details. If I give it a refresh, star count is 46. So if I click it again, we will start again. So that's not preferable to us. So we have an API for this as well. List repository started by the user. No. If I check, yes, check if a repository is started by the authenticated user. So we can use this. So export const is repo start. Let me make this as an arrow function. So inside, let me repeat the same logic that we are having in here. Paste, copy this response till the response.data. Okay, now we need to have this request, await autocorrect request, get and that. So add it in here. So owner and repo will be replaced by this stuff, owner and repo. Let me get owner and repo in here. So in here we are only having repo name. Okay, sorry, not here, in here. Just paste it as props, params in here. Make the function as async, save it. We need to call the function when we start a repo. We need a state here. Let me make a state. Const is start, set is start equals to use state. So this will be false initially. So when we start a repo, it will turn to true. If we click it again, it will turn to false. So when we start it, like if we click the button in here, we need to set this to negation. Basically, I mean, if it is true, it will be false. If it is false, it will be true. Now, using this state, we need to just render which icon to show. So if it is start, we need to show not the outline icon, we need to show this icon, filled icon. So let me have AI fill star, import it from the icons page, AI fill star, and return it in here. If it is start, we will add it in here. Add a colon, size will be this. Do we need to add color? Let me add color as yellow. In the function of get repo details, we can call the function of is repo start. If the response.status true04, it means that repo has been started according to this documentation. Else we can return nothing. So we are calling the function in the get repo details while we pass response on and login and the repo name, which is called response.name. So if the start response exists, we will set it to true. The state of is start and play the icon of starring in here. Now if I start this icon, it is start. Let me refresh the page. This will be start as well. See, but none of the other ones have been start. So the only problem in here is if I refresh, the data comes in here a little bit of late. So what we can do is create a loading state. So I can say const is loading set is loading equals to use state. So initially the loading will be true, and once the data has been loaded, we can set it to false. So it can be done in here after all of these. So I can just do this in here, make it as false. Now if this is true, we will show nothing. So I can just do if loading return nothing, just an empty fragment, else return this stuff. So if I save, okay, refresh the page, we have nothing, and then it loads. The only problem is we need to do it outside, like in the index file, because we also have this text stuff. So better to move it outside. I mean, create the state outside this in here. So make a state in here, loading and set loading, import use state hook from React. Let me now grab this set is loading, which will be false once we load the entire page. So what I can do is, if let me make a use effect hook in here as well. Use effect. So when event is loaded or when it changes from its original state, we need to call this or set it to false. Yes, but we have an issue. Event is deprecated. Basically, it's not event, it is events. So we need to save it. Let me grab is loading. If it is true, show an empty fragment. So add it in here. Let me give it a space. So if I refresh the page, this does not work properly for this page. So I guess, okay, what we can do is hide the button only of stars. So let it live in here because it's good to have a loading state. Let me bring back the loading is loading in this. Just put it inside. Okay, let me leave it here. About this will go on the button only. So if I just wrap this in a curly bracket, say if loading is true, show nothing. If it is false, only then show this div. So refresh the page and then it comes. If I unclick it, it is not going away because we need to call the function of unstarted. We have star repository, we have unstarted repository. So let me make the same function in here. So I can just repeat this function and name this as unstarted repo. What this takes is honored in the repo. So I just need to replace the previous request with this request. Await octocode request paste it. We just need to delete our stars. So honored will go in here, repo will go in here. We can copy unstar repo and we need to give this on, where should I give it? One more thing I have to do is we have a state that is called is start. When we click it, let me if I do it in here, will it work? If is start is true, it means we need to call the function of unstarring it. So I can just do unstar repo while I pass these two params, the repo name and the repo, what is it, the login ID. Save. So I can try this. If I click it, it is not start anymore. This repo of LinkedIn clone using React and Firebase 9. So if I give it a refresh, we have no starts in here. If I check in here, so if I refresh it, the star count is 45 if you see. Let me star it. check in here again, refresh, it is 46. If I unstar it from in here, now check it in here, we will not see the star in here. It has been unstarred. So this is how it works. Starting and unstarting repository using our GitHub APIs. Let me star my all repositories because I don't want to do that. Star my own repos. Let me try it again. Click it. Firebase frontend has been starred. So if I check it in here, let me now type Firebase frontend. So yes, it has been starred by me. If I unstar it, check it in here, we have no stars in here. So that's done. Perfect.